Cool. From Happy Thursday from a cold Detroit. It's nice to have you here, John. Yeah, I would imagine it being cold. It's winter right now, obviously, but especially in Detroit, Michigan. Uh, but it is good to be here. I had some nice coffee this morning. Uh, I actually wasn't able to leave, or not that I wasn't able to, but I didn't leave my place yesterday. I've just been catching up on a lot of work, a lot of job applications and things like that. And also, coincidentally, yesterday was my rest day from the gym. And for those that don't know, I go to the gym. Uh, I try to go 6 days a week. More often than not, it's 5 days a week. Uh, and yesterday was a rest day, so I didn't. So I ended up not going yesterday, and I spent pretty much the entire day inside. So it felt really good to be able to go out of the house this morning. I really don't like being locked into my place for an entire day. I don't really like being locked into my place for hours at a time. I like being on the move and constantly engaging with something, but it's okay. Have you ever listened to Kelly O'Hara or O'Hara, actress and Broadway opera singer? Watched her performance with From Broadway with Love from a benefit concert in Orlando at the Disney Theater. Well, I have heard of Kelly O'Hara before, and I'm not that great with names, but it sounds so familiar that I'm pretty sure I've heard her saying once or twice. Um, but I don't. I probably haven't seen the concert you're talking of. Uh, Poo Chicken Tendy Esh. uh, I was listening. So something funny recently, actually. Um, my partner came over last week, and we went out on a nice excursion to do some mini golf and got Thai food after at this hole in the wall, really just very pleasant atmosphere Thai restaurant, very authentic, and I loved it. Um, and on the drive over there, uh, she was scrolling through my YouTube feed to look for videos, beatboxing videos that I haven't seen before. And she said, "Tell me which beatboxer this is." So, without any context, I was just listening to a lot of the combinations, the timbre in their voice, uh, what their style is, and only one of them was particularly challenging for me. uh, and that was, I think it was called Violent by Hiss and a guitarist. And Hiss has a very particular technique and a few special sounds, but that particular piece was hard for me to distinguish exactly. I kept going from Hiss to a few other beatboxers, but it always circled back around to Hiss, and my final guess was Hiss, which it was. But everybody else that she tried to get me on, whether it was Codfish or D-Lo, even Trung Bao, I just nailed it every single time. So happy that my beatboxing knowledge is crisp still. He can't do lip rolls. Now that you mention it, I don't think I've heard him do a routine with lip rolls. That is an interesting fact. Like his technicality and musicianship is incredible. It really is. Uh like I remember one of the videos that I was studying for a while, just so I can get better with my own technicality, was his BBU entry against B Art called Flip. And the only reason why I was studying that one in particular wasn't necessarily because I loved that piece musically, but he had everything written out in the video itself how to do it. and and to this day I still can't execute it well. But yeah, lip rolls actually took me a really long time to get the hang of, and I still can't do the one that I really want to do, which is Napalm's lip roll. I could do uh like bass lip rolls, like, but I can't do that. It just doesn't sound good. Yeah, Napalm's lip roll, like you can't roll like this or things like that. I have no idea how to do it. I've been trying for better part of a decade now to do it, and it's just uh he does some very subby lip rolls in the same position, but he uses a clip roll. Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of click rolls, actually, uh like there's some beatboxers, and Hiss is included, that can make really good, like, dampened or smoother click rolls that have more bass to them. And there are some people that can just really grind out this very powerful click roll bass, like B Art. Uh, but I can only do a basic one, unfortunately. But I still think it sounds cool. But I have no idea how beatboxers are able to layer different sounds on top of that sound. It strains the breath so much because you're sucking in air while the tongue is clicking, constantly stopping that breath from fully going through. It's so it's such a bizarre sound, and it took me probably 2 to 3 months to figure out how to do it consistently. Uh, but just layering things on top of that, I've been trying to layer sounds with that sound ever since I got the sound consistent, and it is it is tough. Credit to anybody who can do that. I was looking at other beatboxers like Dillip, who has mastered the zipper, and I love zipper sounds, whether it's lip zipper, the with your teeth. I've been working a little bit more with the tongue. Um, and I've been trying to do little squeaks out of the side of my mouth. But to do his zippers like he does in Game Over, also from the BBU, just it blows my mind how clean his zippers are. Like, in terms of his musicality, I think it's very abstract, and I don't understand what he's trying to do with his music outside of being abstract, which I can definitely respect from an artistic standpoint, but from an audience listener that just wants to enjoy music, it's hard for me to really engage with his music. Uh, but I there's just something from so many different beatboxers that I really really enjoy. Like, I really love Alem's stamina, speed, and his ability to interchange between meters. Uh, I really love Collapse's crispness and mastery of the basics, and also his musical prowess. Hiss with his producing and his musical prowess, Wing with his cleanness and mastery of groove, of natural flow within music. Uh, let's see who else. Trung Bao, just in terms of how dynamic he is as a beatboxer and how heavy hitting his sounds are. Uh, Codfish for being an inspiration to beatboxers that very much like myself that have a strict set of sounds and can just utilize those sounds in extremely powerful ways, but isn't necessarily the most broad in terms of his repertoire. The same thing goes for Bobbly. Uh, there's just a ton of different beatboxers that you can draw from, and even Den, who really got me interested in his music from Moments I Had and Twisted Fate. Just really great stuff there. And then you have very bizarre sounds like the 626 effect from Stitch, and how he layers that with his polyphonic voice, which has remarkable control. It's mind blowing, and I love taking all of these elements. But polyphonic voice is very difficult for me. I've never been able to produce the 626 effect, and there's just so many incredibly talented and skilled beatboxers out there that I'm trying to draw from. But man, replicating a lot of these sounds are just brutal. The small lip roll is just a little kiss movement with no tongue. It's completely relaxed. Small lip roll. It's just a little kiss with no tongue. Nah, I just keep getting this weird bass. I don't even know how much, like, I've heard this bass popularized from Terrastanen, who used it in the Weekend cover Creepin'. Just that alone kind of bass, but yeah, every time I try it, I just keep getting that bass. And I've looked up so many tutorials on it too. Inward kiss with inward. Okay, got a little something there. Okay, we'll work with it. Thank you for that. Man, beatboxing is so cool, so underutilized and underrepresented in today's music scene. I love it. But something else that I really love as well is, like, not too long ago there was I want to say like a month ago, there was some issues with my apartment, so I called maintenance. Maintenance came over, and the maintenance guy and I had a nice talk. I asked him what he did, and he said he was part of a folk band. Oh, man. And I expressed my appreciation for him because I really love folk music. I really enjoy bluegrass music and variations on folk music as well. And I told them that I really thought it was underutilized in especially today's music, where everything just kind of sounds the same to me. And man, dude, it was just it was really great watching his face light up from the fact that I told him that I really enjoyed folk music. There's a group out there called Poor Man's Poison, and they're how could you describe them? They have a little bit they have a little bit of a bluegrass folk feel that's a little progressive in terms of how they're pushing the genre. Um, it could spark some contentious debate whether their music is great or not, but I really enjoy their sound, at least their sound, and they're really solid, in my opinion. And then not too long ago on the channel, I want to say like a month or two, I did the Deep South. I did a song from the Deep South, and I really really dig that. So, and that song is incredibly popular. I'm kind of surprised it didn't have that much attention on that video. But man, I really really enjoyed doing that video. Uh, but it's okay. Uh, there was a time when I tried really hard to push this channel into making this my full-time career, and now that I'm getting into a strong swing of job applications and interviews and pushing myself in different directions, um, now I'm not completely obsessing over making this channel the career and feeling an immense amount of stress when it doesn't perform. Now that I'm actually able to categorize this in, I want this channel to grow. I want this channel to become successful. And eventually, I would love for this channel to become my full-time job. Uh, or the channels that I make in the future alongside this channel as well. But with that said, uh, I'm no longer in a desperate rush in order to make this channel that goal. Um, I can better utilize my time and focus my energy into building a stronger skill set and things that I also enjoy. And for those that don't know, some of the things that I really do enjoy is being a barista and just being able to work directly with coffee. And a lot of people might consider that to be, well, that's just an entry level thing that has no real growth or whatever. And I disagree with that. I have trained at specialty coffee houses. I have learned how to make excellent microfoam, how to dial in espresso. I've learned how to do coffee tastings and perform them. I know how to describe coffee and how to make latte art to an extent. I'm not the best at it, but I'm still practicing. Uh, and it's really tough. It's a lot of perfect wrist movement and vision for what it is you want to make. But I really also just enjoy engaging with unique people, and well, all people are unique, but especially people that engage with me in rich meaningful conversation. I love being able to interact with others, and coffee shops are such a great way to attract a myriad of diverse people, uh, and I just really like the process. And also, it's a good opportunity for me to learn a lot of like actual business skills outside of that, because it's not just about being a barista. It's because I was also a lead at one of my last jobs, and I could just go from being a lead to an assistant manager to a manager to a district manager, et cetera, et cetera. Even though that might take me out of the coffee shop environment as a whole, um, just being able to interact and engage a lot more with more people and offer real valuable insight as to how to expand or manage a coffee franchise and uh, engage with cafes in a way that feels very meaningful, I think would be really, really awesome. Um, So who knows? Maybe on a future channel, I'll be able to have some nice coffee time. I think that would be fun. Uh, Another idea that I had for my channel as well, another channel outside of just this channel, which would be focused on reactions. Speaking of which, I might change the name of Good Evening Stories to just Good Evening Reactions or something like that. Um, because when I started the channel, if you guys haven't seen my channel history, my first videos on the channel were all storytelling. Because I love storytelling. I love captivating stories that just immerse you into a world, regardless of how juvenile they feel. I just love engaging with worlds and how worlds are built from the ground up. Uh, which is why I wanted to do also anime reactions and various shows that take you into their world and captivate you through proper storytelling. And I really wanted to do that, but copyright, especially on anime, is not a challenge that I am willing to face right now. Um, but outside of that, um, something that I'm also considering is not just making a vlog channel, but being able to sit down honestly and communicate just life issues, not venting any of my own personal life issues, but more taking issues that I have faced in life that I see friends and colleagues facing and using all of the knowledge and inspiration and wisdom that I've gained from all of the books I've read, from all of my lived experiences, and from all of the insight that friends and colleagues have given me over my life, and being able to scrutinize them, analyze them, and ultimately come up with workable pieces of advice to navigate those challenges. And I would obviously have to put like a disclaimer at the beginning of the video saying that it's not any kind of therapeutic advice or anything like that, because it's not. But it would be something along the lines of, here is one person's perspective who has been honestly and earnestly researching human nature, what it is that we as a collective experience, and how we can modify that to our own and translate that to our own unique experience and use that valuable insight in navigating our own hardships and issues. And that's something that I would like to dive into more of, because like just recently, last week, I was sitting in a coffee shop, and I don't go into coffee shops as often as I used to. I love going into cafes, um, because it's just so busy with people and people that I can get to know. But I'm also pretty awkward. So, what I do every time I go into a coffee shop, excuse me, is I set up a chessboard. I have a little index card that says, let's play a couple games of chess, or we can just talk about life, our view of the world. And in that time, people might just come up to me. They might not say anything and just want to focus on chess. That's awesome. I'm not great at chess, but I love to play it, and I will absolutely play with anybody that wants to play it. I usually end up losing. I can't think 10 moves ahead. I can more think of max 3, if not 2. um, but going beyond that, there are many people that just sit down and just talk to me about their life. And that's more of what I'm trying to get after. So this last week, a couple girls approached me, and it was actually really, really beautiful. Um, one was a one was studying film in Los Angeles, and the other was studying fashion design in Philadelphia, which I thought was really, really cool. Because they were also both very diverse, not just in terms of how they chose to engage with the world in terms of what it is that they're studying, but just diverse in terms of their heritage. One was Mexican and one was Iranian. And I asked them about their cultures. I asked them about their perspective of the world. They asked me about what it was that I was reading, and uh, how it is that I internalized a lot of the information from those books that I was reading, because they were also familiar with the books that I was reading and the authors. And we just had this hour plus long conversation, the three of us, and it was so rich and meaningful to me. And I just really loved that conversation. It was there was so much to be gained from that kind of conversation, and it just meant so much, and I really enjoyed engaging with it. And I gave them an email if they ever wanted to reach back out and ask uh, any more questions on any of the books, or if they just wanted to meet up again to talk about to pretty much continue the conversation we were having. And I never expected them to reach back out. People very rarely ever do. Um, but just to know that there was that one instance of a long conversation where any one of us could have dipped out at any point, but that conversation just felt so rich and authentic, knowing that a stranger to two friends could have such a meaningful and in-depth conversation on a spur of the moment happenstance at a cafe. That was so profound to me, and I'm very thankful to have been able to have that kind of conversation. So with all of that said, that's something that I really enjoy about the cafe scene, and something that I really want to keep maintaining in the long run. Um, so yeah, and with that said, uh, something else too is, so I brought this guy up on the channel a couple of times before, and he's one of my closest friends. Um, and even though we don't know everything about each other, and that's more on me to some extent, because I keep people at a fair enough distance. I don't like putting my everything into one particular thing or one particular person. I've done that in the past and was absolutely devastated by it. So I make sure that I keep a certain distance from people. Um, Not to say that I do that with everybody, but for most people. And with my relationship with him, it's really great and very beautiful, because our views of the world are pretty antithetical to each other, and our hobbies, the way that we want to engage with things, are pretty antithetical. But we also have a lot of strong similarities in what it is we want to set out to achieve, and our goals and aspirations and different things like that. Um, which I think is really wonderful. And the reason I bring this up is because he and I were talking the other night playing children's card games. We were online playing a couple duels of Yu-Gi-Oh, and an idea of Two Gentlemen Play being the name of the channel, or just Gentlemen Plays, would be what was a pretty entertaining idea, honestly. One of the things was, uh, because when we were playing, it was Ah, yes, yes. I do see, in fact, that you have played the Blue Eyes White Dragon and have fused it to make a bigger dragon. Yes, yes, yes. Very good, very good. Yes, yes. That is wonderful. Yes. So, and uh, but it wouldn't just be exclusive to Yu-Gi-Oh. It would be anything where it's just uh both of us being absurd. But I think that adds a lot of humor and whimsy uh, to games. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But I do think it would be fun. But I think that that would be more of when YouTube is more able to be a full-time gig for me, so that way I'm not constantly struggling to update my Patreon and then update my YouTube and then update, not for just my own channels, and then update channels for collective things like that, or whatever the case is. So I think that would be really cool to be able to make happen at some point in the future. But I don't know. As of right now, everything's still up in the air, but we're figuring it out one day at a time. Also, uh, in terms of my top tier on Patreon, uh, and one, I don't expect anybody to join that tier for a while. But something that I have been doing for a long time is uh, I've been updating it, not daily, but probably once a week. Just adding a new Kingdom Hearts video or something. And like I mentioned in previous streams, those videos aren't meant to be consumed as just media. That's more of just comfortable fun that you could put on in the background of something. And I've really been enjoying making those videos. It's just chill, laid back vibes, a stroll through the 100 Acre Wood or the deep jungles of Tarzan, or just fun Kingdom Hearts stuff, and it really makes me happy. I really enjoy making those videos. So we'll see how that goes. Get brave, do a cover yourself. You are a singer after all. So the only reason why I don't have any covers on YouTube right now is because, one, I don't have the finances for an accompanist. Two, I am, in terms of performing, I am an opera singer. I sing classical music. I don't I I'm not good at singing Broadway or pop music or any other genre of music essentially. I am trained and understand in rich depth how to sing classical music. So in order for me to sing classical music in the way that I want to sing it and perform it, I need an accompanist. I can't use a track because tracks are very static. They don't move with me. And when I'm storytelling, I need to have control over the story, over the world that I'm building. And I need to be able to meet with an accompanist or a vocal coach or both, and a voice teacher, but this is just the bare basics. Just meet with an accompanist and work out a few pieces actually that I would like to do, and be able to rehearse with them regularly until I'm ready to make, film, and record the cover. And with all of that out of the way, then it would come down to actually filming and editing it. And my audio editing is not the best. I have a good new mic that I've been using, but the problem with it is, and it's not even so much a problem with the mic, I don't think. It's just more of a problem with my recording software, which is on the lines of, if I sing into the microphone, then my recording software picks that up as this is the volume that we need to adjust to, and it immediately decreases all of the volume and makes sure that I am essentially inaudible. So I need to get a really good music software. I need uh, good musical editors, audio engineers, and be able to put that out really well. And there's a lot that goes into making a good cover of something. Like in terms of Dan Vasc, he can use tracks more often than not. He uses also live instruments as well, and does his own thing with that, with great video editing, great audio editing, and wonderful mixing and mastering, which on some cases he does himself, I've noticed. But that isn't my skill set. And even though I have learned a lot about video and audio editing through just making YouTube videos, I'm nowhere near the level that I would need to be at in order to create a cover or a musical performance of something that I could be genuinely proud to release on my channel. It's not just about filming yourself with a camcorder and calling that the video. There's a lot that goes into it, and I really, really would like to present something on my channel that is the same quality as a Dan Vasc video, let's say, where the videos, the spectacle itself looks wonderful. The sound design and the audio, the mixing and mastering of it, also incredible. Very clean, very crisp, very clear in the sound. But it's tough. It's really tough, man, to actually get everything put out. His first cover was pretty bad long ago. I mean, I believe it. Everybody starts somewhere. Where I could use that same logic too, but my issue is that I know what it is that I'm capable of, and there's certain things that I want for the channel, and especially if I am presenting myself as a vocalist that actually knows what he's talking about, and I release music that sounds terrible on my channel, then one, people aren't going to take me seriously as a legitimate musician and opera singer, but also it wouldn't feel good to me. Like, I have performed in studios and have had really good audio sound designers take my voice from what I've recorded and make it sound amazing in a track. Not that they've modified my pitch in any way or modified my performance in any way, but they made the sound very clear and very crisp. And I used that for a lot of different audio auditions for varying competitions and things like that. So, it's for what it is that I'm trying to achieve on the channel. I don't want to release anything that I would consider subpar. I want in order for me to release a cover on the channel, I need a good accompanist. And I need to perform with that accompanist and rehearse with that accompanist. And accompanists, one, are not cheap, especially vocal coaches. And two, it would have to be several sessions with them before even creating a time to record with them. On top of that, I would need someone who's really good with sound design and mixing and mastering, because I can only do so much on my end from the skills that I've developed so far through YouTube. And three, a performance location. Like, I would prefer to do it in a bigger space than my apartment. The acoustics in my apartment are very bizarre, and it wouldn't sound, or it really just wouldn't even feel good performing in here. Like, not to say that I couldn't do that, especially if it's all in the name of saving money. But it's definitely not the ideal for sure. But that, and again, all of this is to say, I would like to put out covers of things in the future. I would love to be able to perform Der Doppelgänger or Erlkönig or Die Post, uh, even some things in English. If music be the food of love is beautiful, and maybe just do a full recital of something. Have French, Italian, German, Spanish, English. Um, but oh, Samuel Barber's Dover Beach, yeah, oh, what a beautiful piece. Um, but yeah, there's just a lot that goes into that kind of planning, and I know that there's a lot of singers out there that not only make it look easy, but um, are actually able to put out some really great content consistently with that kind of stuff. I just don't have those resources. And what I'm doing is a completely different genre of music, which requires a completely different set of resources. Um, and like I made the point earlier, uh, I am a professional opera singer, musician. I've performed internationally, I've competed nationally, and I've placed very high in these competitions and these live performances around the world. And to put out a video that just does not sound good, does not reflect my experience and the knowledge and wisdom that I've gained from all of these experiences. And plus, if somebody's going to click on my video, I want the content itself to be worth it. I don't want to put out anything half-assed, you know? Like, I really want to make sure that if you click on my video, that you are engaging with real meaningful content that actually means something. Uh, you know? Okay, just changing it back to a different conversation point. The lip roll, be sure your tongue is away from the airway and tongue relaxed in your mandible. Your tongue is away from the airway. Relax. I'll work on it. Yeah, that'll have to be something that I work on, but I appreciate the clarification and specification. Your content is always worth. Aw, you're always on my screen when I'm eating. Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. I I'm trying really hard to not just make authentic content, but actually something that's entertaining and engaging. And beyond just reaction videos, I really hope to have more of that authentic, real content, that human to human content. Not just create something that's kind of like this parasocial relationship, but actually dive into some problems and things that I faced in my life, some problems and issues that colleagues and friends have faced in their lives, and just have authentic, open, and deep conversations about it. Also, with regard to reaction videos specifically, something that I think a lot of people don't really realize is you take a chance on reaction videos. And what I mean by that is reaction videos aren't just people, well, some of them are, but they're not, in my view, they're not supposed to be people just mindlessly watching something and just saying, wow, that was amazing, even if they don't think it was. On my channel, especially, it's very much a if I don't like something, you will be able to tell. I will critique it, not harshly, but I am honest in my critique. And if there's something that I really do enjoy about something, I will comment on it. If there's something that I really dislike about something, in terms of the technique or the sound, I will specify that. And I will do my best to make sure that I specify it in a way that is not necessarily cushioned, but in a way that expresses my felicity accurately. And I don't mean to say felicity in terms of happiness. I mean to say in my ability to appropriately express my thoughts. And to be able to engage with music, I I'm going to do so in a way where I love music. I can find something to appreciate in every genre of music that I've ever listened to. Even genres of music that I dislike on an average basis. A lot of modern day pop music I don't really like that much, but there's something that I can still appreciate about it depending on the artist and the execution. Same thing goes with some rap music. There's a lot of different rap music that I don't really care for, but there are some artists and some songs even within artists that I don't even care for that much that really reflect a lot of beautiful elements of humanity that come through. So regarding genres of music, I can find something to truly appreciate and admire within every genre of music. But also keeping in mind, I am my own person with my own subjective opinions and views, just like anybody is. A chef can have a particular go to dish they really love uh, that has a lot of foods that other chefs might not love. It's a subjective experience that is based in objective techniques, but those objective techniques don't necessarily translate exactly the same towards all different genres of music. And it's very nuanced and very complex to really dig into. So ultimately, uh, when you click on a reaction video, I don't think a person should expect, oh, I get to watch this person experience this masterpiece for the first time. It's, I'm going to learn what a new perspective is on this music, whether it's a perspective you share with the artist, and it is an example of I get to experience somebody else reacting beautifully to this particular artist, or it's I don't understand this or I don't like this with a foundationally sturdy critique. You take that chance when you click on any reaction video, especially mine. So uh it all depends on what it is you want to do. In my real life, in my real day to day, I tend to rub people the wrong way a lot, not because of necessarily the me wanting to critique people, because I really don't enjoy that at all. But I am a very direct and forward person. I will talk about the root of issues as I see them directly, and keep an open mind and heart when engaging in conversation, to where I always accept the fact that I have the possibility of being wrong about a lot of things, but also maintaining the atmosphere of, if there is something that I don't understand, I really need you to elaborate on it and to correct me and to give me evidence that your opinion or your stance on something is foundationally sturdy, that gives me something to think about, that gives me something to reflect on and take with me in my nightly reflections, to think this person had a very strong and solid point. How is this different from my own perspective about this thing? There's a lot of things in the world that really quite genuinely and truly have no opinion on, simply because I'm not as educated in those things as experts in the field are. Um, which is pretty much almost everything. And that also rubs people the wrong way a lot. In issues like climate change, for example, I am aware of the base facts about it, but my opinion on it isn't really strong in comparison to my milieu. So, and the reason is mainly because it's not my battle to fight necessarily. And what I mean by that is, yes, is it something that affects all people? Of course it is. But that's not a fight that I'm going to die on, you know? I have my own issues and hardships that I have to face in my own life, and that's not something I want to exert my energy towards. There's other things that are happening in my life that I want to better conserve my energy on and not just be exhausted over every wrong or every evil or every righteous cause there is to fight for and to better educate myself on. Not to say that educating myself in things like that is a waste of time, but there's a lot that I want to do to better myself that is beyond that conversation topic. Like a really big issue for me several years ago was understanding myself, understanding why I feel the emotions I feel, and better understanding others, because even to this day, I still am very socially awkward. So I started reading books on varying philosophies. I started reading books on varying life circumstances. And then I came across an author from a YouTuber that I heavily admire named Robert Greene. And he turned me on to books like The 48 Laws of Power and The Laws of Human Nature. Excuse me. And those books have moved me profoundly. It helped me get such a rich, deep understanding of what it is that I experience, how it is that I can navigate those things, and better understand others, better connect and relate to others as unique individuals with their own life experiences. You know, I hear the same pithy statement, you never know what someone is going through, which is absolutely true. But at that same end, it comes to the point of it's exactly that. Can you internalize the fact that someone is experiencing something that is beyond what you've come to experience in your life already? And to be able to sympathize with others is a beautiful thing, because it lets you know, as a person experiencing hardship in your life, that there are other people who can comfort you in times of hardship because they've been through their own hardship. But then at the same time, uh, you know, there are quotes by Viktor Frankl that I want to see if I can find one of them. I have them written on my whiteboards up here. Um, yeah, there's a couple of quotes that I'll read off. It was necessary to face up to the full amount of suffering, trying to keep moments of weakness and furtive tears to a minimum. But there was no need to be ashamed of tears, for tears bore witness that man had the greatest courage, the courage to suffer. Another being, it doesn't matter what we expect from life, but what life expects from us. As we are questioned daily and hourly by life, our answer must consist not in talk and meditation, but in right action and right conduct. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and to fulfill the tasks which it constantly sets for each individual. When a man finds it's his destiny to suffer, he will have to accept his suffering as a single and unique task. He will have to acknowledge the fact that even in suffering, he is alone in the universe. No one can relieve him of his suffering or suffer in his place. His unique opportunity lies in the way in which he bears his burden. And the really beautiful thing about the author of those quotes, Viktor Frankl, is that he, in my point of view, knows the very definition of suffering, because he was a concentration camp survivor. Um, he was a philosopher and psychoanalyst. He he founded Logos therapy, which is a very particular type of therapy revolving around logos. So it's there's a lot of wisdom to be gained from how other people have handled their own hardship in their life alongside the real beauty that can come out of someone that doesn't victimize themselves, saying, my life has been so excruciatingly difficult and I need to extricate this hardship onto others. And, to have the wherewithal, to have the temerity to be able to look at your hardship and your past and exude scintillates of true brilliance, of true compassion after knowing the hardship that you've experienced in your life, to be able to walk into the world as a shining star and to know that you are a shining star solely because of how you handled your immeasurable hardship. I think that is the mark of someone who has truly understood inner strength, who is truly some of the most strong and capable people on the planet. I have been fortunate enough to meet someone that, in my point of view, has embodied inner strength. And I do my best every day to live up to that philosophy, that expectation, to be able to experience tremendous pain, suffering, and hardship and still walk into the world with a smile on your face, kindness and compassion in your heart, with the strength to not be destroyed by external or internal forces. That's so profound and beautiful to me. To not make yourself a victim is one of the most challenging skills that I feel like we're losing a lot of in present society. So I really do love the fact that that is that how do I phrase this? That is a philosophy that I carry close to my chest. Uh, oh wow, I missed a lot. I am so sorry. Let me jump in on this. um, Hollow out the mouth is best. That makes sense. Here's another direction. 6 months or so, you reacted to Jeff's House of the Rising Sun. You want really dark and awesome? React to Eric Gronwald's cover. It's awesome. All right. I will add that to the list if I get around to it. Because I still do have a list of people waiting on their paid ones. So I will be sure to do that. Eric Gronwall's House of Rising Sun. Okay. Sure thing. As a fellow musician, you definitely mesh well with my views. Yeah. I've come to find that there's a lot of musicians that actually do take on these views. Whether they put it or not into practice is a different story. But at least these views are, I don't even want to say they're contentious, but to some people they absolutely are. So I really respect you saying that. I remember you mentioning River's squeaky spit snare was not the most pleasant sounding and not your cup of tea, and you said it so respectfully, and I've stated, "Oh, that's awesome! Thank you so much." Yeah, like I think River is an exceptional beatboxer. Obviously, he is because he won the GBB. And got first place in the wild cards in, I believe, 2021 or 2020, one of them. But yeah, like he is an incredible beatboxer, don't get me wrong. Um but there's some sounds that I didn't care for, but that doesn't mean that I think that they're wrong by any means, and I do my best to express the utility and the things that I do like about it, but also just emphasizing these are some things that I can do without. um, Whether you dislike or like, I'll always want. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Susan Southern, hello, hello. I don't know if you're still here, but thank you for joining in. I really enjoy your reaction and analyses. I have learned so much from your channel. Aw, thank you so much. I'm glad that I could provide that for you, Susan. A couple of days ago, I had to lol at a reactor that had never heard Dan before. Ha! And that he was going to have to judge him harshly. He listened to Gethsemane and was blown away. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely what it is too, where if you don't know what to expect, your expectations are very much, well, in my point of view, they should be very much neutral. Keep an open mind and an open heart, but uh, you're going to have certain predispositions towards things. In most cases, as much as we don't like to admit it, um, what's the phrase? Oh my gosh, the phrase just escaped me. Uh, our our reputation precedes us. There we go. And the idea of that being, oh, this is a metal singer and I don't like metal music, you already go into it with a negative mindset, even if the music itself doesn't revolve around a certain metallic sound to it. Or there's a certain way of singing that you heard from someone that you haven't even judged yet, but it's very easy to fall into these pitfalls, these holes of downward spiral thinking, and that's not just in music but in life as well. And to consider yourself kind of a victim of circumstance, or a victim of having to listen, in this case, to unpleasant or unsettling music. And in Dan's case, it's very much a, wow, there's something really profound about listening to an artist that understands multiple genres of music outside of his own. So there's something really exciting about that, and having your expectations blown away is really quite dazzling, especially keeping an open mind and an open heart. There are some people that genuinely are miserable and just want to spread their misery onto others. And that can be for any number of reasons, but it's very hard for me to believe, like, whenever I get a negative comment on a video, it's really hard for me to believe that that person is experiencing a wonderful, fantastic time in their life to expel negativity and hatred from their being, Like, I'm feeling so good today. I'm going to go on YouTube and tell this reactor that he's a piece of shit, Like, it just seems so far-fetched to me. So, to the people that will criticize people hard, and don't get me wrong, I am in no way opposed to people critiquing and commenting on others harshly. Like, a lot of the but also there needs to be context for it as well. For me personally, I have been in master classes where the people giving the master class were some of the harshest musicians and casting directors I've ever been in a room with, and they are harsh. They essentially offer no praise. Actually, that's a lie. The praise they do offer is when they say nothing. um, or in another instance, there was one time the praise I got was criticism about a minor detail that I had in my piece, which was a very harsh criticism, but that was tremendous praise for me because it wasn't about anything that was critical. These were about things that I could change easily. So I think harsh critique is extremely valuable, but also there's not a lot of people that have the skin tough enough to withstand that. It's like receiving harsh critique, especially from somebody that you have no idea who they are, like a random YouTuber. People aren't going to respect you. They don't know your credentials. They don't know like why you're qualified to be able to give such harsh critique. So of course people are going to snap at you when you provide something really harsh. But uh, you know, at that same time, is your critique justified? Is it not only justified, but does it actually come from a place of I want to see this artist grow, or I am genuinely bitter about this kind of artist or this particular art form? I don't like this art form, therefore I don't like this artist. You know, there's a myriad of factors that can come into this. And to even add another layer of complexity and nuance to that, it could be a mixture of a lot of different feelings of while I genuinely want to see this artist grow, I also genuinely do not like the sound of music. So it's hard to differentiate where this critique is coming from. Yes, it's primarily coming from a good place, but it would also be a lie to say that it's purely coming from this place. And there's a lot of nuance and as often as human beings, especially in today's day and age, try to emphasize and reflect how righteous and virtuous they aren't. It's a persona. And in Latin, a persona means a mask. It's a mask that you present to the world, a mask that you might even try to present to yourself. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it all comes down to your actions, what it is you truly desire and crave, and how you better yourself, how you truly wish to help other people around you and not proselytize them or mold them into what your vision is for them, but just accepting them as they are and recognizing the beauty in them as they are. And that's very difficult to do, especially as human beings that are constantly in fear of the unknown and are constantly trying to control our surroundings and control other people in tandem with our surroundings, whether it's conscious or not. So it's a very bizarre world that we all have to walk a very fine razor's edge to navigate. So it's what a profound experience it is to be a human being, right? um, he is also classically trained and has performed as Judas several times. He wants to sing Judas to dance Jesus. That's awesome. Um, yeah, and something else in tandem with that, uh, there's a lot of voice teachers out there. I have sat in on many people's voice lessons, and I really don't have critiques about the students so much as I do about the teachers. There's a lot of teachers that tell their students, okay, you've been classically trained in these aspects, but I would disagree with that. I think the way that they were teaching classical music, just because you sing classical music and you have a rough understanding of basic technique does not mean you are classically trained. And there's a lot of damaging voice teachers out there that can absolutely ruin your voice and is not what I consider to be real classical training. And I'm not reflecting this upon Dan by any means. This is just in a general broad sense. And it's terrifying, man. Like you really gotta not just trust the person as a unique person, but how do you identify a really good teacher? And that not only comes down to their credentials, listen to their students. How good are their students? What are their students actively doing? Like, I've seen some teachers that have said these are my credentials, and they absorb students that way, but their students are doing nothing. Like, some of them were doing it for hobbies. That's fine. You know, I love teaching people music solely for hobbies. It doesn't have to be a career. Just as long as you can take music into your personal life, that's fine. I think that's beautiful. But to the people who genuinely want to make a living out of it, see where their career goes. And if they're not landing anything, that's a telltale sign. And it's not just on the students, it is on the teacher as well. Yes, there are, like, in the interview I had with Peter Barber, there definitely are singers that are not cut out to be opera singers, not necessarily because they can't sing well, but they just don't have natural elements of their voice that are just uh natural to you. You know, like, people have a certain resonance in their voice. If you have no resonance in your voice, like, it's not broad and can't reach the back of a theater, it doesn't matter how beautiful you sing, the audience can't hear you, so you're not going to be selected. You know, it's just elements like that. How naturally appealing, pleasant sounding is your timbre? If you've mastered all of the challenging, intricate techniques of classical singing, that is incredible, far beyond what a lot of people in the scene are doing, or have done in that case. But if you just don't have a voice that naturally is pleasing, you're not going to get selected. You know, there's a lot of nuance and subjectivity that goes beyond just classical singing. So it's really tough navigating the field. Very, very tough. When it comes to people saying they're classically trained, always, like, that's wonderful and I love that, but always approach with caution and a grain of salt. Some people just like to troll. I have Thumper's philosophy: if you can't say anything nice, don't say nothing at all. Yeah, I mean, if you can't say anything nice, don't say nothing at all. I think there's truth to that, and I'm going to add a little nuance to that, which is, for me personally, like I was mentioning earlier, there was a masterclass I had where the praise we got was harsh critique on minor elements that were changeable. And that was invaluable to me in my growth as an artist. And it also actually created a stronger rapport with that individual beyond that. And that also, like, and I obviously know that this particular philosophy isn't applied to all circumstances, but just assuming that it is, um, you know, there was a there was a time when, and I'm not using this to get any sympathy, please keep that in mind. I'm just using this as a prime example. There was a time when my girlfriend at the time, now my ex, um, when she cheated on me, my friend who I was commenting on earlier, who has some antithetical views to my own, but I'm really close with him and I deeply respect him as a person, he was the one who called me because he was really close with her and said, this is what happened. Not between her and him, but she told him, saying, you know, don't tell me about it. And he did, because he respected me that much, and said, it's not right to keep you in the dark about this. And what he told me wasn't nice. It wasn't pleasant. It hurt me severely. But that was a moment of deep respect, truth, and that's actually one of the key moments I think of when I reflect on how do I know that this person is a real friend, is because he told me the truth as it was. He didn't sugarcoat it. He was very blunt, very direct. There was no cushioning on it. It was so raw. And it impacted me deeply. but ultimately led to some really great things down the line. Ultimately, I do believe that the truth is always a good thing if you can accept it. And that's why I find it so essential to keep an open mind and an open heart when engaging with the world and engaging with other people in the world. It's not just about your perspective, it's about how other people engage with reality as all of us have come to know it. Not just in terms of our own worldview and our own reality, but in terms of communal spaces. So there's always something to be gained, even from people with antithetical views. So in moments like that, I find that to be really, really powerful and really beautiful, where what he was saying to me wasn't necessarily, this is something nice. It was harsh. It was going to hurt. He was aware it was going to hurt, and it absolutely did. But it was the kindest, most compassionate thing he could have done for me in that moment. So I think there's a lot of value to, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. But that's also, at least to me, pretty situational. So, so ultimately, there's, like with all things, I think there's a certain level of nuance, and some things to kind of figure out the ebb and flow of. But with that said, welp. It has been 75 minutes. This is 15 minutes longer than I was expecting it to, but there was a lot to piggyback off of. So I really appreciate all of you for being here. I loved the beatboxing segments. I love the philosophical segments, storytelling, all that jazz. This has been wonderful. I had a really great time with all of you being here, whether you came and went or whatever the case was. So with all of that said, I really want to thank all of you for being here, watching this stream. It really does mean a lot to me. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care, everyone.